Y'all not ready for what I'm about to say. And honestly, I might not even be ready for the smoke that's coming after I say it, because what just leaked? This ain't a diss track. This ain't no Twitter thread. This is the kind of file that changes the narrative forever. A voice recording left behind by King Von. And no, I'm not talking about some throwaway studio snippet. I'm talking about his actual final words, recorded before that night outside the Hookah Lounge in Atlanta. A 2-minute voice memo never meant for public ears, saved on his iCloud but never released until now. And what Von says on this tape? Bruh, it exposes names, situations, people in the industry, not just street beef, real moves being made behind the scenes. Von was onto something. He wasn't just rapping about ops in the field. Oh, he was hinting that he knew he was being used, watched, maybe even lined up. In this recording, Von talks about trust, labels, loyalty. He mentions 3 names, and 2 of which are being protected heavy by lawyers right now. The last name, it's muted in the leak, but insiders already know who it is, and that name alone could shake the entire rap world. How did this file even get out? Who had access to his iCloud? Why did this leak 2 years after his death? And what else is still being hidden? This leak changes everything, because if what Von said in that audio is true, then his death wasn't just tragic, it was premeditated. Tap in, because this right here, it's bigger than rap, and this is just the beginning. The day the leak dropped, the industry went quiet. I mean, real quiet. Yeah, the type of silence that don't feel peaceful. It feels planned, controlled. Like everybody got a call and was told, don't say a word. But real ones knew something was off from the jump, because that file, the one that surfaced with Von's voice on it, raw and unfiltered, talking like he knew the walls were closing in. That file wasn't supposed to exist. It wasn't found on YouTube. It wasn't from no hacker. It came from inside. Somebody close to the situation cracked. I got the first version of it sent to me through a burner telegram. No caption, no tags, just a black screen and a .wav file. First thing I noticed, it wasn't studio quality. This was a memo, one of those voice notes you record on your iPhone when you're paranoid and need to get something off your chest. You could hear Von breathing, sounded like he was pacing. Then, I'm straight up, he said something that made my whole body freeze. If I don't make it, tell him to look at who stopped picking up the phone. Look at who stopped showing up. That one line flipped the internet upside down. The audio was barely 2 minutes long, but it said everything in between the words. Von talked about feeling watched, about feeling like every move he made was being timed. He said he was starting to realize the deals didn't match the energy, that people were acting like family, but moving like handlers. He didn't say names, not directly, but if you know who was around him in those last few months, you already know who he was aiming at. Right after the leak, people started digging. Fans pulled old clips of Von on IG Live. One stream from a few weeks before his death showed him joking with someone off camera, saying, "Y'all don't even know, bruh. I might need to move different." He laughed it off, but now that line hit different. The comments on the repost were filled with people saying things like, he knew and they really did him dirty. The tension didn't stop online. Behind the scenes, a few people panicked. One of Von's old producers, the same one who worked on Crazy Story 3, deleted his Twitter within 24 hours of the leak going viral. Then a cryptic post went up on Reddit. Username had only been active for a few hours. The post read, "The file came from someone in the room the day his phone was unlocked. It wasn't a hack, it was a decision." That sentence alone told us everything. Someone with access made the call to let the truth slip out. But here's where it gets wild. Von's phone wasn't supposed to be in circulation. After his death, it was locked, encrypted. According to reports, the phone was turned over to authorities and never seen again. But somebody close, and I mean real close, had access to his iCloud. The way it was explained to me, Von used to record voice notes and save them to his Notes app. They auto-backed up. There were dozens, maybe more. This wasn't just some one-off confession. This was a catalog of Von putting his thoughts down when nobody was around. The person who leaked the file only dropped one recording, but now people started asking, what else is on that cloud? And that's when things started moving, quick. 2 nights after the leak, an Instagram account popped up claiming to be run by a former assistant of someone close to Von. It only had 5 posts, all text, black background. The second post read, "He left more than music." Oh, they can delete his tweets, they can silence his friends, but the cloud don't lie. That account got taken down within 48 hours, but it had already spread. People screen captured everything, and the comments full of people calling out names, some of them major. By the third day, things hit real life. Von's cousin, someone who had stayed quiet this whole time, posted a picture of Von with the caption, "You tried to warn us. Now the whole world gon' see." That was all. No explanation. But it lined up exactly with the language in the voice memo. What shook people the most was one particular sentence in the audio. "This ain't no street beef. It's industry moves. They want to control who get to live long enough to own they masters." That line right there, it pulled the mask off everything. Von wasn't just talking about ops. But he was talking about the system, the same system that eats artists alive, signs their pain, and drops them when they stop cooperating. An ex-employee from a major distribution platform, not naming which one, told me in confidence that after Von's death, there was a full marketing plan already in place for his posthumous rollout. You know what that means? It means somebody was ready to capitalize on his death before it even hit the headlines. So when you hear him say in that voice note, "They already printed the t-shirts, they just waiting on the date," you realize he wasn't being paranoid, he was being honest. What came next? Chaos. Old videos of Durk started resurfacing, one in particular from a behind-the-scenes vlog where someone off-camera jokes, "What if Von goes solo?" And Durk looks up, straight-faced, and says, "That's not happening." At the time, people thought it was funny. Now, they think it was a warning. Von's ex, Asian Doll, posted a video the night the leak hit. She didn't say a word, just stared into the camera with tears in her eyes, shaking her head. The caption said, "Y'all owe him the truth." She deleted it 10 minutes later, but it had already hit 100,000 views. Producers who worked with Von started distancing themselves. One of them took his name off a track listing for a deluxe album. Another said in an interview, "I ain't trying to get involved in no conspiracies. I made music, that's it." But the way he said it, you could tell he knew more. Even radio DJs were talking different. One major voice on Atlanta radio said on air, "We've been told not to play certain Von songs, but now we playing whatever the people want." They let the man speak from the grave. He got suspended for 2 days, came back like nothing happened. The leak wasn't just a recording, it was a message. It was Von's voice being heard on his terms, not through edited interviews or filtered tributes. It was raw, it was scared, but it was real. And once it got out, people couldn't pretend anymore. Every time someone tried to discredit it, another piece would drop. A tweet, a clip, a quote that backed up the energy of the file. It was like Von left a trail, and the industry just couldn't bury it fast enough. That's when someone whispered to me, "That wasn't the only file. There's more." And somebody's still holding them, waiting for the right moment, for the right reason, for the right exposure. The day after the audio leak hit, everything shifted, not just on socials, in real rooms. Back channel meetings started happening. Artists were canceling features. Executives were locking down their calendars, whispering in studio offices like something bigger had been triggered. It wasn't just a leaked voice memo anymore. It was pressure. That recording Von left behind had become a heat lamp over the whole industry, and people were starting to sweat. What no one expected was the second file. This one didn't leak in the same way. It didn't get posted on TikTok or Twitter. It was played quietly in a private circle of 4 during a late night session in LA, confirmed by someone who was in the room. The track wasn't music, it was another voice note, longer than the first, this time 4 minutes and 32 seconds. It was Von again, but the tone was different. Less panic, more clarity. He was talking like he knew exactly what was about to happen, like he'd already accepted it. What made that second file dangerous was the names. 3 of them. Von didn't say them outright, but he used nicknames, street names. And if you know who was in Von's circle at the end, you know exactly who he was talking about. He said, "They know the labels ain't the ones feeding us. They know who really moved behind the curtain. It ain't about ops, it's about orders." Then he said something that shook the room it was played in. "If I get hit, just know it didn't start in the streets. It started in a boardroom." That quote alone had people in the building stepping outside, turning their phones off, looking over their shoulders. Meanwhile, the internet caught fire again. People didn't have the full second file yet, just whispers, bits of quotes. A few seconds, someone managed to screen record before the private video was deleted, but even that was enough to kick off a firestorm. A thread on Twitter went viral. breaking down old footage of Vaughn at label parties, zooming in on his expressions, his body language around certain people. One video showed Vaughn at a dinner where execs were laughing and clinking glasses, and Vaughn just sat there, expressionless. The thread said, "He been knew something wasn't right. Look at how out of place he looked." It got over 200,000 likes in 3 hours. The replies turned into chaos. Some people said, "Y'all reaching," others said, "Nah, this was real. This was deeper than rap." That same night, someone leaked screenshots of a text exchange between Vaughn and a known videographer just 3 days before the shooting. In the messages, Vaughn said, "Oh, let's shoot that solo video fast. Don't tell them I'm doing it. I just need one clean drop in the vault before they move." That last line, "before they move." It became the most quoted phrase on Instagram for 2 straight days. Everyone wanted to know, who was they? The streets were talking too. Chicago started getting tense. A mural of Vaughn was tagged overnight with "He tried to warn us" in red spray paint. The next morning, a new mural went up over it, but the energy had shifted. People weren't mourning anymore. They were digging, pulling receipts, connecting dots. Even people inside OTF started feeling the fallout. One of the background shooters, someone known for always posting behind-the-scenes clips of Dirk and Vaughn, deleted his entire IG, disappeared. No explanation. He used to post every day. After the leak, gone. And then a burner account popped up claiming to be someone close to him, saying he knew things, they told him not to speak on it. That account vanished the next day, but not before the screenshots made it to every blog on the map. Meanwhile, Asian Doll broke her silence again, this time in a club, on the mic, out of nowhere. The DJ played a Vaughn track and she grabbed the mic, said loud, "They took him out because he was becoming the boss. He stopped being the soldier." The crowd screamed. Some people tried to spin it like she was emotional, but if you've been watching, you know she don't speak like that unless she means it. A clip from that night hit 1.3 million views in less than 12 hours. Some people tried to calm the storm. Dirk posted a story the next morning. No caption. It's just a photo of Vaughn and the words "still miss you," but fans weren't buying it. The comments got hostile quick. Say his name in a verse, not just a post. Why you never talk about the audio? Vaughn knew what happened. You can't hide that anymore. Within an hour, the post was deleted. Behind the scenes, label people were scrambling. A source from inside a digital distribution service told me privately that all Vaughn-related content was being reviewed. Not pulled, just watched, monitored, as if they were waiting to see what else might surface. That same source said a project Vaughn had recorded weeks before his death, rumored to be independent of his label deal, was now mysteriously delayed. The files were ready, but the release was frozen, quiet, no statement, no updates, just stalled. That's when the wildest theory yet popped up. Yes, a thread on an underground forum claimed that Vaughn's iCloud was being actively monitored by someone on the legal side of his label, not law enforcement, label enforcement. The theory claimed Vaughn had multiple voice files, text drafts, even visual notes where he planned to call out names on live. The day before his death, he allegedly messaged someone saying, "I think they gonna try to make this look like Street Psy, but it's not." That message, if real, never made it to the public. It was said to be in his Notes app. A fan posted side-by-side screenshots from Vaughn's last Instagram story and the footage of him walking into the hookah lounge. The timestamps didn't match up. The fan claimed Vaughn had been at a different location earlier than reported and only pulled up to the lounge after a call from someone in his circle. Oh, that detail had never been publicly confirmed, but it matched things said in the second leaked voice note. The one where Vaughn said, "They gon' tell me pull up last minute," like they ain't already know. It became too much for some people. A longtime engineer who worked in Vaughn's session spoke on a low-key podcast, voice disguised. He said he was on the edge those last 2 weeks, talking different, questioning things he never used to question, like he finally saw through the smoke. But when artists get too smart, too fast, it's always a problem. A rumor started that someone still had access to Vaughn's unreleased vault, not just music, conversations, videos, proof. The person, allegedly a former assistant. They hadn't spoken publicly, but then a new TikTok appeared. No talking, just text over black screen. It said, "I was there. He trusted me. And now I can't sleep. This wasn't supposed to go like this." That video hit 500,000 views. Then it was gone. Account deleted. This ain't just about music anymore. This is about a man who knew too much, who said too much, who started moving like he was ready to take control, and who suddenly wasn't around to do it. And the more that leaks, the closer we get to understanding the truth they tried so hard to bury. Vaughn didn't die with secrets. He left them behind on purpose. The tension in the industry wasn't just buzzing anymore. It was boiling. Every new drop of information, every leak, every quote that surfaced online, it all felt like another thread unraveling a cover-up that had gone too deep for too long. And while blogs danced around the story, careful not to upset their relationships with labels, the streets were making up their minds without the help of corporate media. Vaughn's name had become more than just a tragedy. It was a signal, a trigger, a reminder that the industry's most brutal secrets rarely die. They just change hands. The third recording changed everything. It wasn't long, just under a minute, but it was the first time Vaughn's tone sounded different. Angry, not paranoid, not heartbroken, just angry. Whoever he was talking to, he didn't trust them. The voice memo was chopped in places, but one thing came through crystal clear. I'm not signing off on none of that. You not finna use my name to feed the same system that's trying to get me touched. He paused, then said something even colder. If something happened to me, y'all better not cry. Just remember who stayed silent when I asked questions. That audio didn't even hit the public directly. It was played during a closed studio session in Houston, and one engineer secretly recorded it off a phone speaker. He leaked it to a small Telegram group of rap industry insiders. Within hours, the file had over 2,000 plays, and nobody could trace where it came from. By morning, everyone from producers to TikTok detectives were picking apart every second. The part that hit the hardest was the name drop. Not a full name, just a nickname, but those in the know knew exactly who it referred to. Someone close to the label, someone still active, someone whose silence since Vaughn's death had been too loud. Social media exploded again, but this time, it wasn't just fans. Rappers who hadn't said Vaughn's name in 2 years suddenly started liking shady tweets. One posted a cryptic message. A real one tried to warn us. He wasn't paranoid, he was prepared. The replies under that tweet turned into a war zone. Some were calling cap, others were saying they remembered Vaughn moving different before he passed. People dug up old IG lives where Vaughn would glance off camera mid-sentence, as if watching who was in the room. The paranoia in his tone wasn't for show, it was survival. Things escalated offline. Vaughn's cousin, who had remained mostly quiet, pulled up to a club where a DJ spun a Vaughn tribute set, but instead of vibing, he grabbed the mic and said, "A lot of y'all played fake close. Don't dap me up now, y'all knew." The room got awkward, security stepped in, but the video made it out. And the way he said y'all knew wasn't vague. He looked straight at the camera. Asian Doll tweeted later that night, "Y'all cried at the funeral, but stayed quiet in the meetings. No names, no context." But her followers didn't need it. They'd been watching the story unfold in real time. That tweet racked up 100,000 likes in a few hours before she deleted it, as she always does when her heart speaks before her lawyers can stop her. Then came the biggest twist of them all. A close affiliate of Vaughn, someone not famous, not flashy, just a name that kept popping up in the background. He went live on Instagram with under 200 viewers. He started by saying, "I know this might get me touched, but I ain't sleeping right." Then he pulled up his old phone and played a screen recording of Vaughn's Notes app. And most of it was emotional writing, scattered thoughts, lines that could have been future bars. But in one entry, dated 3 days before Vaughn died, it said, "They think I don't know the meetings they had without me. The handshake deals, the fake tours, they plotting something? Watch the footage if I don't make it." That sentence alone set off alarms across the industry. Watch the footage. What footage? Within 2 days, conspiracy accounts started saying Vaughn had a GoPro hidden during his final days. Some claimed he was trying to document meetings, private convos, and label interactions to have a trail of truth. One video claimed he had hidden footage from a conversation with a known exec where things got heated. There's no confirmation, but here's the wild part. The studio where that meeting allegedly happened was shut down 2 months after Vaughn's death. Quietly, without reason, staff let go, security footage wiped, no announcement, no blog coverage. Then came the private messages. A journalist known for covering hip-hop trauma received a DM from an account with no followers, no posts, just a message. "You looking in the right direction, don't stop." Attached was a file. The file contained metadata, a list of Vaughn's voice memos by date and time, over 30, most of them titled Note, Late Night, or Move Careful. The timestamps lined up with every major event leading to his death. The last file, recorded at 2:17 a.m. on November 6th, just an hour before Vaughn was shot. That file has never been released, but the journalist confirmed that someone tried to buy her silence. Not threaten, buy. On, she received a cash offer via anonymous email with a contract attached, asking her to sign an NDA in exchange for $250,000. She didn't sign, but she also didn't publish. Said she was scared for her family. Said the energy behind this story was darker than anything she'd touched before. Even label reps started behaving differently. One intern at a major label slipped up during a podcast appearance. The host asked about Vaughn and whether the label had any plans to release more of his vault music. The intern paused, then laughed nervously. That's above my pay grade. They scared of what's in that hard drive. The clip was edited out of the final video, but the raw footage leaked. The host denied it, but insiders confirmed it was real. People started noticing something else too. Certain songs were quietly pulled from platforms. 5 on features removed. Delays on releases. Even his official YouTube channel stopped posting for weeks after the leaks began. Fans took screenshots, compared analytics, noticed views dropping, engagement being limited. Some called it shadow banning. Others said it was intentional. One thing was clear, someone wanted the noise to die down, but it didn't. Fans made sure of that. They flooded the comment sections under Durk's new music videos, demanding answers, quoting lines from the leaked audio, holding up signs at shows saying he left the files. One girl even painted Vaughn's final quote, "Just remember who stayed silent," on a jacket and went viral after wearing it to Rolling Loud. The division was growing. Some fans were still riding for Durk, still believed he was grieving. Others didn't buy it anymore. The silence, the avoidance. And the selective posting. It was all too calculated. Then came the message that made everything stop. An Instagram story posted by someone claiming to have direct access to Vaughn's iCloud. It said, "The last audio is not a song, it's a name drop. You won't believe who he said." Then it was deleted. No reposts, no clips. But that line traveled, it echoed, because that's what this all comes down to now. One final audio, one final message, and the one name that still hasn't been said, but might be the key to all of it. By the time the last message dropped, the air around the industry wasn't just tense. It felt like something was about to break, like the silence that had held for so long was cracking. The streets had already picked sides. The fans weren't playing neutral. Oh, it's the insiders, the ones who used to laugh off conspiracies behind closed doors, had gone ghost. And the ones still talking, their words were heavier now, more cautious, less coded. Then it happened. The voice memo, the one people said didn't exist. The final audio file King Von left behind, the one that was never supposed to leak. Not through a burner account, not on Reddit, not in a Telegram group. It surfaced through a hard drop, literally. An unmarked flash drive sent in a manila envelope to a podcast host known for covering dangerous topics. No note, no return address, just a drive and a sticker on it that read, "This is the truth, don't fold." The host didn't post it right away. They knew what they had, so they sent it to 2 engineers to confirm it hadn't been altered. Then they sat on it for 6 days, watching the story unfold. I'm wondering if releasing it would get someone hurt. When they finally uploaded it, disguised as a bonus segment at the end of a regular podcast episode, people almost missed it, but the moment fans found the timestamp, it was over. The entire internet stopped. Vaughn's voice came in slow, quieter than the other clips. You could hear the exhaustion, like he'd been holding in too much for too long. No yelling, no paranoia, just truth, real truth. "I've been knowing something off," he said. Been peeped the energy. I got love for them, but I ain't blind. Every time I make a move, it's like somebody already one step ahead. It ain't just street eyes, it's industry eyes. The ones in the back of the room, the ones who don't talk, just nod. He talked about a meeting that happened 2 weeks before his death, said it wasn't on the books. Said he was pulled into a studio on short notice. Just him, 2 people he wouldn't name, and a third person who was new. Vaughn said they started talking about his future, but something felt off. "They was asking me about my next moves like they was trying to reroute him," he said, like they was looking for leverage. Then came the line that would break the internet. "If I die, it won't be from no op. It'll be from a handshake that looked like love." That one sentence, it changed the entire conversation. People started reposting it on every platform. TikToks with slowed reverb edits of that line hit 3 million views in 24 hours. Twitter flooded with theories. Blogs scrambled to report on it without fully confirming it. Comment sections turned into war zones. And while fans were arguing, The people closest to the story started reacting in real time. Durk went live, not to talk about the memo, not directly, but you could tell he wasn't in album mode, he wasn't trolling, he was sitting in a dark room staring at the comments, barely speaking. When someone typed "say his name," Durk looked at the screen, shook his head, and ended the live. Asian Doll posted again, this time with a clip from a year-old interview. In the video, Vaughn says, "I'm always 10 toes, but sometimes your circles start feeling like a trap." She captioned it, "Y'all hearing him now?" No context, no follow-up, but the message was loud. She'd been saying it for years. Even DJ Academics, who'd stayed strangely neutral during the drama, slipped. On a Twitch stream, he said, "Look, I'm not saying nobody's guilty. But I'm telling you right now, that audio is real. It's not AI, it's not fake. Somebody close got that out. That means something." The domino effect started immediately. 2 former OTF affiliates unfollowed the label's official page on Instagram. Quiet moves, no statements, but fans noticed. One of them liked a post that quoted Vaughn's line, "A handshake that looked like love." That was all it took. The blogs ran with it. The stories started writing themselves. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, lawyers got involved. A cease and desist went out to the podcast host who uploaded the audio. They posted it with the caption, "Too late, the streets got it now." And they were right. By that point, the clip had been downloaded, reposted, and archived in every digital corner. Fans were already remixing it into songs. Putting it over footage of Vaughn's last interviews, creating timelines from every date he mentioned. But the scariest reaction came from someone who never speaks. Vaughn's mother. She posted a picture of him as a kid, standing in front of a corner store. No caption, no hashtags, just the image. Underneath it, she pinned a comment, "You told me everything and I still hear your voice." That comment got 40,000 likes in under an hour before she disabled comments completely. The industry was shaking. Labels started pulling back. Artists began canceling public appearances. Certain figures known to be close to Vaughn, especially on the business side, locked down their social media. Some deleted years worth of posts. Others deactivated entirely. And just when it felt like things couldn't go any deeper, another voice memo surfaced. This time not from Vaughn, but from someone who used to work under one of the major label execs tied to his deal. It wasn't public. It got passed around privately, like contraband. The person didn't name anyone, but they said this: "He asked too many questions. That was the problem. He wanted to know where the money was going. He wanted to own too much. Once he started pushing back, things got weird." And then they said the line that pulled the trigger on everything. There were people waiting for him to mess up, but he never did. So they made it look like he did. Fans couldn't believe what they were hearing, but they also couldn't ignore how consistent the pattern was. Every new leak, every new quote, it all matched the energy Vaughn had been putting out the last few months of his life. He was trying to say something. He was leaving clues. And now, 2 years later, it was all falling into place. You could feel the shift in energy. This wasn't just a mourning anymore. This was movement, a call for truth, a demand for accountability. People were no longer content with tribute posts and birthday shoutouts. They wanted names. They wanted explanations. Vaughn had turned into more than just a rapper who got taken too soon. He'd become a symbol, a voice they tried to silence, but couldn't bury. The streets weren't asking politely anymore. They were pulling receipts, analyzing footage, and calling out contradictions in public. Comment sections turned into investigations. Fans started organizing Vaughn's files, lyrics, and quotes like evidence. Pages popped up dedicated to the timeline. Podcasts dropped entire episodes connecting dots that had been ignored for years. And somewhere, as behind all of this, the people who knew the real truth, they were hoping it all stopped. But it won't. Because Vaughn gave us the blueprint. He didn't scream it. He didn't rant. He recorded it. And now, we listening. If you're still watching right now, then you already know, this ain't just some YouTube drama. This is deeper than music. This is bigger than the blogs. King Von left behind something they never expected to surface. His voice, his truth, and the receipts he knew would one day be needed. And now they're here. The industry tried to bury it, erase it, discredit it, but Vaughn made sure his words would outlive him. So now it's on you. What do you believe? Was Vaughn trying to warn us? Were his final voice notes just paranoia? Or was he right the whole time? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Name names, bring receipts. Start the debate. This is your moment to be part of the story. And don't just watch, engage. Because the more attention this gets, gets, the harder it is for them to cover it up again. If you feel like this story needs to be told, hit that like button, share this video with someone who still thinks it was just a random street beef, and make sure you subscribe, because I'm not stopping here. I've got more audio, more leaks, more convos that never made it to the headlines yet. And trust me, if you thought this was wild, wait till you hear what I've got coming next. They didn't want that clip to see daylight, but we about to shine a floodlight on the truth. Stay locked in.